Alright ladies, this may be difficult to hear, but it will explain a lot. When a man meets you, there's a process unfolding in his brain that most women never see, and researchers call it mate selection. And what they've discovered is that men don't choose a long-term partner based on beauty alone, not based on accomplishments, and not based on how loyal or impressive you are. Those things matter, but they're not what makes a man decide to commit. And this is why so many women get confused, because you get the attention, you get the chemistry, you even get the sweet words, but somehow you don't get the devotion and loyalty. And then you start wondering what is wrong with you. And I'm here to tell you that nothing is wrong with you. The real issue is that men are responding to something different than you think. Not a list of traits, but a feeling. My name is Ismael Gomez, and I help women stop wasting time with the wrong men and start attracting relationships that actually work. And in this video, I'm going to show you what feeling men respond to and why understanding that can change everything for you. Okay, so let's begin. Men select a feeling. There's something that most women get completely wrong about how men actually choose a partner. You ladies think that he's grading you, like he's sitting there with a mental checklist. Okay, she's smart, she's attractive, and the woman who scores the highest wins. But here's the thing, a man is not grading the woman, he's grading the feeling. Like he's tracking how he feels in your presence. Calm, playful, like he can finally be himself around you. And that feeling is what leads to the actual selection, not your accomplishments and not your looks. And this is where it gets even more interesting, because a man can make a list of everything that he's looking for in a woman, and then you can see him walking away from that woman who checks every single box, because what he says that he wants and what actually attracts him are two completely different systems. What he says that he wants lives in his head, and what actually pulls him lives in his nervous system. His head is making a list, but his body is making a decision. So if you've ever been everything that a man said that he wanted and you still saw him drift away, this is why. Because you want the checklist, but you didn't create the feeling. I've seen so many men leave women who were trying so hard to get everything right, and then they chose women who were barely trying. And not because these women were better, but because they gave him space for his feelings to unfold. The doubt of commitment. Never ask a man for what he's not ready to give you. Listen to that again, ladies. Never ask a man for what he's not ready to give you, especially when it comes to commitment. Because most of you, when you sense that a man is hesitating, you do the exact opposite. You start asking, you start trying to convince him, and it never works. But before I tell you what to do, you need to understand something that most women misunderstand. You probably listen to someone say that most men are scared of commitment, and it's wrong. Most men don't fear commitment, they fear regret. So what they're avoiding is not the relationship itself, it's the fear of locking in with the wrong woman. And you see this in Western society. Men are always being shown, like, look at how this woman wrecked this man's life through divorce. Look how Johnny Depp, you know, what happened to him and all these celebrities. And what they want is men to feel lonely so they can start consuming porn, and women feeling lonely so they can start buying beauty products. So before any man fully commits, he's always running everything through his mind. Is she the one? Am I rushing this? Will I regret this in 5 years? And this is what I call the doubt phase. And I've seen it in myself and in every man that I know. In women, sometimes you feel this phase as inconsistency, as mixed signals, but quite often it's just him stress testing his own decision before he completely locks in. So the core principle that I want you to understand is that a man who wants to choose you eventually will, and the one who's not is also going to reveal himself. But either way, the answer comes faster when you stop asking a man for what he hasn't decided to give, and you get better at reading the signs.
The most important skill in your love life is not effort, it is evaluation before attachment. Especially you ladies, you attach emotionally before a man does. So you want to make sure that before you attach to this man that you're talking to, you evaluate him and see if he's even worth your time.
The scarcity signal. Now, here's something uncomfortable about male psychology, and that is that a man does not evaluate you in a vacuum. Researchers that study mate selection, they found that attraction does not happen in isolation. A woman becomes more attractive when she appears socially validated by others. And this is not because men consciously think, if other people like her, I should like her too. It's more subtle than that. His brain starts asking, what am I missing here? He sees the woman that everyone enjoys being around, and the woman that people naturally invite, and the woman that others seem to respect, and those signals shape his perception. Now, before you misunderstand this, I'm not telling you to make a man jealous. I'm not telling you to flirt with other men or to become a social butterfly. Strategies like this almost always backfire because men can sense performance from a mile away. What I'm telling you is something deeper. You don't need to fake demand. You need to actually build a life that has it. Not by collecting attention, but by being a woman who's pursued, invited, and noticed in real life. I mean, you know well, those men and women that walk into a room and immediately they feel interesting before they even said a word. The signal was already there. They have that captivating energy because they know that wherever they go, people respond to them positively. And final one, the quiet calculation. There is one question quietly running in the back of every man's mind when he's selecting a woman that he wants to share his life with. Is this relationship moving me toward the man I want to become, or away from him? Most men cannot explain this consciously, but they feel it, because the woman that a man chooses doesn't just become a part of his life, she becomes part of his identity. When he's around you, does he feel more focused, more inspired, or does he feel smaller, bored, or distracted? Now, let me say that this is not about pushing a man to grow, because the woman who's always lecturing a man about his potential usually becomes background noise. What truly matters is what becomes alive inside him when he's with you, because men commit to women who feel aligned with the future that they're trying to build. Not because she's perfect, not because she's impressive, but because being with her feels consistent with the type of man that he wants to become. Now, the caveat with all this is that you cannot create this in a man who doesn't want to grow, okay? If his values don't include becoming more, no woman can create that feeling inside him. And this is why filtering is so important for you ladies, right? Because you are the selector. So you're not just choosing a man, you're also choosing his direction. And eventually, that's what determines whether commitment feels natural for him or forced. Alright, ladies, so this is what I see most women misunderstand about male selection. Now, if you recognize yourself in any of this, here's the more difficult question that I want you to ask next. What if the man that you've been talking to, or dating, or in a relationship with, is not actually selecting you at all? What if he's just keeping you around as an option until someone else comes along? Well, I made a video exactly on that, and it's called 5 Signs That He's Using You as a Placeholder, okay? I'm going to leave you the link somewhere up here, or it's going to play after this one. Anyways, thank you for watching and subscribing to my channel, and remember that for your relationships to change, you need to change, okay? Have a beautiful day.